don't want to sound dumb when you're talking about human design. Of course not. I have sounded dumb because I was never formally trained in human design. There are some nuances about the language of human design, which is a very precise system that I think you ought to know. So here are a few common misconceptions in human design and the corrections. So first and foremost, this is called a body graph. Okay, this is not your human design, this is your body graph. Human design is the system, but this is the body graph because these are your personality placements and your design placements. This is your conscious self, which people don't usually have trouble with. This is your unconscious self. Emphasis on the unconscious, not subconscious, unconscious. And again, these are mistakes that I have made in the past and I had someone to correct me, so I'm just passing on the information. Here we're looking at a transit composite. So here we have on the right is my personality, my conscious, and on the left, my design, my unconscious. Over here in yellow, we have the transits. This is the current arrangement of the planets in the sky. You guys see these little arrows right here? That's an arrow facing up, that's an exaltation. All these down facing arrows are detriments. Those are some up, exaltation, detriment. These are not the same as good or bad, okay? It's not like, oh, I have 22.1 in exaltation, that means it's good, and I have 48.5 bad. Not the case. It's this or that. Each one of these gates has a polarized expression, and sometimes they're even juxtaposed, which means it'll have an upward facing arrow and a downward facing arrow, which means you'll be experiencing both themes, both polarizations of each of these gates at the same time. And if they don't have any arrow next to them, it's going to fluctuate between the exaltation and detriment. Now, Ra himself said that if he could redo this part of human design, he wouldn't call it exaltation and detriment. There's too much of a good or bad flavor in those words. He would just call it this or that. And if you actually go in and look at the 0.5, the 0.1, it's not like the exaltation is always good and the detriment is always bad. They're very unique for each of these gates. Next thing we get to talk about is defined centers, which are the colored in centers. These are like speakers putting out your frequency. And undefined centers, which are microphones. They're absorbing other frequencies and other impressions. So a defined center is going to be a defined center. However, the white centers are either undefined or open. The undefined centers have at least one gate. You see that 26 on? This is undefined. You see the 61 on? The head is undefined. When there are no gates present in the undefined center, we consider it open. It's one of those situations where every square is a rectangle, but not every rectangle is a square. Furthermore, when you have a gate in a defined center like the 16 here, and it doesn't reach all the way across, meaning it's not a part of a channel, we call that a hanging gate. And this 61, which is a defined gate in an undefined center, we call that a dormant gate. And one of the distinctions between that is that you might feel the 16 even though it's not connected as a channel. Whereas you probably won't feel the 61 as much, even though they're both hanging like this and not connected as a channel. Because this one is an undefined center, you're not going to feel it as much as one hanging gate that's in a defined center. Again, dormant gate, hanging gate. So there you have it, all of my third line learning so that you don't have to make the mistakes yourself. And when you pull up and start talking about human design, you can be very precise about your language. If you found this helpful, do me a favor, send it to somebody else who you think will find value in it. For those of you that are wanting some more one-on-one attention, I'm available for one-on-ones. I also have reports for 20 bucks, which is probably like $150 cheaper than a bunch of other reports that you can find online. And it's probably going to be less confusing and more straight to the point just because that's kind of how I am and how I do my things. So if you want me to help you make it make sense, visit the link in my bio. Peace.